Hey everybody, welcome back to Matthew Kelly Pottery on YouTube. I hope you are doing well. Today we're going to talk about how to make one of these look like one of these. Let's go. Here's what you'll need for this project. Red iron oxide, a bowl that you don't mind getting dirty and maybe staining forever, a sponge, a paintbrush, some water, and if you don't want your hands to be stained orange also, some gloves. Okay, now that we went all DIY on you there, we'll actually get to some fun. Oh no, this is a lot of fun doing these face mugs. They take me quite a while to actually make the faces because as you have seen, I try to make them very expressive. And I need to put this one back on the shelf because actually it's already sold in my Etsy sale, and I don't want to mess it up before it gets to where it's going. So, but I have these three more that I'm going to put the red iron oxide wash on, and then they're actually going to be glaze fired tomorrow, and along with a bunch of other pieces, and then all these pieces will be unloaded, photographed, or not all of them, but some of them will be unloaded. All of them be unloaded. Some will be photographed and put up on my Etsy sale on Monday. So, what we do with the bowl and the red iron oxide is take some of the red iron oxide, and sometimes I have a little scoop or something, but with the gloves on I don't mind grabbing it with just my hands. But I'm going to take some of that red iron oxide, put it in my bowl, and as you can see, if you don't want your hands to be stained like that, that's why we use the gloves. So I've got a decent amount of red iron oxide in the bowl. You don't want to get too much. You can always add a little more. Going to move that out of the way. Another thing that you might like to have is a towel for your lap. So I'm going to grab that. Be right back. Alright, now we're going to add some of the water to the red iron oxide. You don't want to add too much of that either. You want this, for the way that I use it, I want it to actually be a little bit thicker. And you can always add more water, but if you get it too soupy, too watery, you won't be able to, you'll have to add more red iron oxide, which is not a problem either, but you could end up with a whole big batch of this that you don't really need. But I like to have it, and I always have to test it on the piece to know what it's really going to look like, but I want it to go on really dark, and then I'm going to wipe the excess off. So basically, what we're doing is we're going to cover the whole piece with a pretty thick layer of this red iron oxide, which these bisque-fired pieces, it's going to soak into really well. And then I'm going to use my sponge and some other water, and I'm going to actually clean off the excess that's on the surface. And the good thing about the red iron oxide being brushed on the whole piece is the excess is going to stay down in the cracks. And then whether you're glaze firing to cone 6 or to cone 11 like I am, you'll get a different variation of the look of the red iron oxide on the piece. But it should show off a lot of that detail. So whether you're doing face mugs or you're just doing some carving or whatever else, this is a great technique to show off a lot of texture on a piece. So what I am going to do is to test this out. We'll move you guys in closer. Alright, so I'm just going to take the red iron oxide, and I like to kind of brush the bottom of the bowl to make sure I get a good amount on there. And what I go for is a pretty dark look like that right there. And if you want to get down in some more of the cracks, you may have to get a little bit more of a watery substance, like here on his mustache or inside of his mouth there. You want to make sure you get in all those cracks, and I don't mind that it runs all over the place on the piece because I'm trying to cover the whole thing anyway. So we're just going to take a little time here and get the whole thing painted this nice rusty brown color. And I even do the bottom. I just don't do the inside because I'm going to put a glaze on the inside, but I try to do the whole thing because I'm not going to worry about putting a glaze even on the outside anywhere. So I'm just going to brush this on the whole outside of the piece here. Alright, since I have 3 of these to do, I'm going to go ahead and put the red iron oxide on the other 2, and then we'll be back here in a second when I show you how to wipe them off. Alright, this is where the towel will come in really handy, because now is when I'm going to actually use my sponge, and I got a full bucket of water here. The water is going to get dirty anyway, so it doesn't matter if it's slightly dirty. But now I'm just going to take, you don't have to let these dry any certain amount of time, like I said, because you're wiping off the excess anyway. You just want to take your sponge, and I'm going to start wiping away the excess red iron oxide, and you'll be able to see that you can choose how much you want to wipe away, and you don't want to put too much water on here because that water might drip down in those cracks and get rid of too much of that red iron oxide that you added. And so it just depends on how much of that kind of antique rusty look that you want, and also how much of the detail that you want to show. It's going to depend on each piece that you make and your desired look. But now you can start to see all that design and time I put into giving detail to this face here. This one is Chubbs. I thought he looked pretty chubby with his big fat cheeks there, so I named him Chubbs. And so you can start to see all that time that I took to give detail to this face really starting to show through. And then the rest of the piece, I'll just take and wipe that excess off and leave kind of some of these sponge marks in there, as well as like there looks like there's some marks there from when I put the handle on that are kind of in the clay. But I just, like I said, leave some of these sponge marks in here from where I wiped the excess off, and then I even go to the bottom here and want to wipe some of that off, but I like to leave it down in the words as well because it makes it really neat to be able to read the name, especially on something like that I've signed special. So I can wipe that off. Like I said, this is where the towel in my lap and the gloves come in really handy. You can actually see there my thumbprint right on his cheek from when I had to fix him. I bumped him actually while he was drying, and I had to come back and fix the dent that was in his cheek, and so I got a nice thumbprint right there on his cheek. And so now we can do that to the other 2. We have Rufus here, and I believe that's another Jed there. All right, well, there you go. As you can see, there's a good reason for having the towel, and there's a good reason for having the gloves. But I can take these off now, and these guys are ready to be lined with the glaze on the inside and then glaze fired. And you probably well, actually, if you visit my Etsy, you'll probably see these on Etsy before you ever see this video, because I am not probably going to finish this video before I put this before these get on Etsy. But who knows? I might. But either way, now you know how I do the color on these face mugs, and I might actually start playing around with the same design on some other carved pieces with my diamond core tools. But anyway, thank you guys for being here, for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you learned something. And yeah, you guys are awesome. We'll see you soon. Bye.